Hello, guys. It's your friend Annie here, and welcome to this evening's live. I just make sure everything works, and sorry if my voice is a little bit down. I try to make it through. Okay, and welcome to this evening's live. I just make sure everything works, and sorry if my voice is a little bit down. Okay, it seems that it works. It's echoing a little bit maybe. Let's see if I get this fixed. Fix the echo. Sorry if my voice is a little bit down. Okay, now hopefully it doesn't echo. Good. How are you guys doing? Hope all is well. If you are new to my channel is support channel for all the caffeine quitters, and I have been already doing this support work quite some time, 5 years, 8 months without any caffeine now for me. And after this total healing journey after chronic caffeineism is what I have been going through and what I have been sharing here in my channel. And I also have been speaking about other addictions, and then I also speak about my faith to Lord Jesus, and then I also do all kind of health related videos every now and then, and just nature walks and stuff like that. But today actually I just wanted to show up, first of all, because I haven't done so many English lives, and some of you still, of course, you like when I do this, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate every comment that you have put here and message, and I'm always kind of a little bit worried about you, and not worried, but kind of like, how it is when you go this kind of journey and you help people, and then you kind of it's almost like you just bond with those people, and you just want to know how they are doing, and of course I always want to do this helping, continuing to do this. But today's topic is a little bit heavy, so I will just say a trigger warning. I just test these voices quickly. So I just want to say a little bit trigger warning in that sense. If somebody is now going through a wave, or like a wave where you are not functional, meaning I'm functional part of the recovery, meaning that my nervous system is safe enough to actually to process more about the deep feelings that I still have about my past and about my experience when I was a child. And that was, of course, a teeter-totter journey for a long time, where my emotions was, very dysregulated, and I was just, very unstable, and that's why I couldn't do this kind of videos where I want to share a little bit my own experience about the narcissism and when I was growing up, and of course the caffeine came to the picture when I was early child, and then my nervous system, which was already like super aware, and caffeineism was like connected to that nervous system, and then it came to chronic addiction and chronic caffeineism, and I was in a long time in that survival state, like many of you have been also, and living in that state, and that's how we kind of adapt, and but then when I did quit and cold turkey, then I have that really heavy shock and neurotoxic reaction, which was not only that neurotoxic reaction, and it was just full reset, full nervous system reset, and going to that dysregulated state, deregulated state, which this journey is all about, rewiring the nervous system and all the neurotransmitters and all the all the systems in the body and the organs, how they working together. But I feel that I'm now in that place that I can share about this, and I feel the need to share about this because I know some of you are going maybe through same kind of stuff, and it's always good to have support. And just know that if this is something that you don't want to hear, then maybe don't feel bad to skip this video, because always take care of your own safety and take care of you first of all. I know that this journey there are people in this journey who are in so many different kind of places. There are people in the beginning when it's just pure survival, when you cannot really absorb any kind of information except like going through 1 second at a time, 1 minute of the time. Then there are people, caffeine quitters, who have more milder symptoms, who are just maybe interested about what I share, or they just every now and then they need support. But the main support, of course, are for those people who are really suffering, who are really having a lot of healing symptoms, as I like to say. But it doesn't mean that it's not suffering. It's still hard. Every day in the recovery can be very hard, especially when you are not that functional part. So I just wanted to say that quick brief in before I go any deeper in this video. So yeah, so I think I'm gonna start about showing I have my little notes about, first of all, that what is narcissism in the relationships, what does that mean, because that's how it's a little bit easier for me to explain about these emotions that are coming through, which are uncomfortable, and I have been crying a lot. But like I said, I think this is really important part for my journey, my recovery, my nervous system recovery, and I have a Jesus, the Lord, that I can trust on, that I will survive this, hopefully, with these feelings too, because when your nervous system feels safe, it needs to feel safe to fully process the trauma. And I think the many years it was like teeter-totter, like there was like stuff coming up, but not in the homeostasis. So when your body is really feeling safe, then it's just a different kind of stuff can come out. And depending, some people doesn't have any of this, what I have. So then you don't necessarily experience any of this. So just reminding you, everyone, each of us, we have our different kind of past. Some people doesn't have experienced any kind of major issues, that they are just dealing with this neurochemical process just because of quitting caffeine. That itself can be a years of journey, just because of quitting caffeine and having this total crash and that after cold turkey and after that shock. And depending how you are adapted, and a little bit like your genetics and all. But then, of course, if you have already, like, your nervous system have been like dysregulated since childhood, for example, how you have been growing up, or what kind of caregivers you have, and or whatever your life bring to you, what experiences, that can, of course, be possible that when you heal, there's gonna be stuff coming out naturally. But that is all good thing in that sense, that you don't want to just keep them there, because your body are able to release that. So we're gonna look a little bit about what narcissism is. Not that one. We are not gonna look that one. That guy there, that girl there. So in overall, because I know some of you may know the word narcissism, it's very widely used. It's also very wrongly used many times. But then there are also people who have this kind of personality. And unfortunately, some of these people can be our caregivers. And in this live, I don't want to go any too personal details or anything, because I just don't feel that is necessary. But in overall, it's very important that I can share about this, so maybe someone can relate and get help from this. So you can have this kind of narcissistic abuse from your caregivers when you're a child, or maybe you have been in a relationship, or both. It can be also both. First, you have been having a caregiver, having this kind of narcissism traits, and then you have been ending up maybe when you are older in some kind of relationship with the person who have that, or then something like that, like each of like only one thing, or then you can maybe have like friendship, which was a narcissistic person, or maybe a coworker that you have to work every day, which still can affect you like really negative way. Or maybe you just have some kind of relative, or even some cases it can be someone's own kid. So yeah, this is an interesting topic, but these narcissistic behaviors can appear, like I said, like in friendships, family relationships, romantic relationships, and school or hobbies. Like you can have this kind of personalities. And we always have to remember that that is to adaptation, but it doesn't mean even somebody is adapted to that. And of course, I have been doing that I pray that Lord will give me forgiveness, but that forgiveness have been also a process. It's not like I'm suddenly able to forgive everything and those like those all emotions are gone. It's in my case, it doesn't go like that. It's more like a being like a wavy process. Like some days it's easier to forgive, and it's easier to not think about these things at all, and I don't think about, and I'm just living and going into the places and feeling happy and connected and just happy about myself. But then some days this still hits me. And I also want to say that this doesn't feel like the waves that I had before, where I had that brain fog and where I had that dizziness, that little bit anxiousness that I cannot go out or something like that. This doesn't feel like that. This really feels like a trauma things. So I hope that like for some of you who are still on the thick of that journey, where you just have really bad all kind of symptoms all over the place with the anxiety and depression and anhedonia and all that, this doesn't feel like that. Because if it would be, I probably wouldn't do it. So evicting may begin, because it's always this nobody should this is not right, that we do experience that, some of us, but it's like you don't have to just accept that and be like that's okay. Nobody shouldn't hurt anyone. So that can lead the victim, especially if this is narcissism, it's not always something that is very very showable. Like it's not always like the narcissistic person is always like doing some kind of physical violence or something. It can be mental manipulation in different kind of levels, also in very the ways that you don't necessarily even know that for years that you have been experienced that they are usually very smart persons, very smart, educated. They can work any kind of field, even in the like psychiatric field, all kind of field, teachers. They are usually very social. They can be very social. They can be also introverted, but they can be social. They are usually verbally very talented, very, they know what to do. But the thing is that they can manipulate you in the ways that you always feel that there is something wrong with you and they need you to satisfy their needs. So in the narcissistic relationship, it's not healthy, because in the healthy relationship, there are always two people, and they are equally, they can share, they can enjoy, they can like be normal, they can be enjoy, and they can feel bad and sad, and that's okay. But in the narcissistic relationship, either that would be your caregiver or partner or friend or whatever, the narcissist is always the leader, and he is it's what his needs is. And even if you are a child, it always goes in what narcissistic person wants it to go. Like if you have a something problem, it's some way it turns to him. And for example, because we are very intelligent as a kids are very intelligent, and many times kids are actually right when they say something about their parents. They can say that I feel this, I need this, I would want to hug or something. But then if the parent turns that around, like, no, you are nothing, or you don't deserve that, or you should do something to deserve something, it's always like very twisted minded, bad way to treat a child, because child should be always accepted as a child is. It doesn't mean that there of course there have to be limits and strict limits, but there have to be that love. And as a children, when the person is child, it almost does anything to get that love. It does anything. It's like children are so amazing in that sense, and so vulnerable, because they really want that love, and unfortunately many parents can use that position where they are, if they are narcissistic, in the very bad ways, and they can, for example, start to speak bad things about the other parent to the child, or lies. They can tell all kinds of lies and manipulate that kid's mind about, for example, that other parent or other person, that kid starts to be confused, and the brain starts to be overloaded, and the brain starts to think that is this really true? And it can be that you even have a false memories. Hi, Chris. Nice to see you. Welcome. So we have to remember that there are all kind of narcissistic traits and all kind of type of narcissism, that not everybody are necessarily so, what I said, so heavily that there are different kind of line, and there are different places that we all have some kind of narcissistic traits in that line. But then there are some point in that line, then after that the people really have this narcissistic personality, and then it means that it really causes harm and suffering in that person. So what may lead to this, and this doesn't necessarily, if you experience this a kid, it doesn't necessarily, when you are a kid, you just live in as a kid, you don't necessarily experience these symptoms. It can go way beyond later in your life when you start to understand what was happening. But then if you have been in the relationship with your partner and experienced this, that can also take some time, because we have to remember that in a narcissism, there is always in that honeymoon period where that person can seem to be very attractive, very, just the best person ever that you met, and you fall in love with that. But then the true nature of narcissism always, you find out. And those people usually can want to go quickly married or just have a child or whatever. And not always, but that can happen because they need that like a band to you. They need that. So you may start to, when these things start to heal and come out, find that you are people are doubting themselves. You can feel guilty without the reason, just like very guilty, like a bad girl feeling, like I'm a bad girl. I think I have been speaking about this a lot of also with Mandy, and I don't know how many videos we have made to speak something about this topic, but just a lot of feeling that I'm always the bad girl. No matter what I do, nobody loves me. I don't deserve to be loved. I do something wrong. I speak something wrong. I walk wrong. I look wrong. I cannot put things in the right places. All kind of things, depending how you have been like manipulated or treated, or what things you have been punished. Also, there can be in the physical violence in those relationships, but not always. Or it can be just like very emotional, abusive, but it can be also physical. So just know that it's never your fault. It's okay to feel these feelings. You are amazing, wonderful person, and you are every right to exist and to feel what you are feeling, and still be like, feel that you belong in the group and belong here, because like we all deserve to be loved as we are. So fear expressing their opinions. So you can have the burst of emotions when you feel just fear that when you expressing yourself that feels wrong, or maybe when you did that in that time when you were experiencing that kind of narcissistic abuse, when you were experiencing like because some of us, like for at least for me as a kid, I was still like very rebel kid in that sense that I did try to rebel. I did say that what I felt, and and of course there can also be if you are a child in the narcissistic family or whatever, there can be all kind of different positions what comes to kid depending how many kids there are, but there can be those favorite kids. There can be those black sheep kids, and the narcissistic person can treat those a little bit different way depending what is a position of that kid in that family. I don't go deeper to that, but just know that they can be very choosable. Like, okay, this is my favorite kid, and they can treat them differently. But it doesn't still mean that even if you would be the favorite kid, you would still, it's still wrong how they act on you, and they are always in that narcissistic behavior, which is very hurtful and not like there are not that right motives because they don't have that real love and empathy because they cannot give that. There is always that control, wanting to be in the boss leader. And I don't say, of course, the parent can be a healthy leader. It should be. But in this case, in the narcissistic case, it's not healthy. So just depending like the person what kind of experience is, but if you have been, for example, like trying to rebel and always like trying to fight in against that, and then you have been silenced, like no, you shouldn't speak like that, or then sometimes they say that yeah, they love you so much and they give you some compliments, and then you are like, what is this? Like you get a little bit that something, but then another day, depending how they feel, because it's always how they feel, how if they have a good day, they can give you something good, but if they have a bad day and however their system is like, it's like it can be another day. It can be like one day they promise you that let's go to the Disney World, or I don't know, you have a Disney, we don't have Disney World, but this is just example. Let's go to some kind of fun park, and the next day they say that no, we don't go, like you cannot go. So there can be very like misleading promises and lies, and then the child can feel like really disappointed and shame and just angry about, because the child really cannot never trust what the parent is like saying, and if she really means that or not. These are just examples. So just know that you have right to express your own opinion, your emotions, even other ones wouldn't always agree. So you still have right way to say that, hey, I'm feeling very sad today, I might cry. But some cases they can try to say that they can even make fun of you if you cry, or they can try to show some kind of empathy, but it's like they just can't, or they can even start to feel really weird if you cry, or just they don't want to maybe be around and stuff like that. Or they can buy you things. That's also one way the narcissistic can like keep you in their lead, that they can buy you toys, or if you are in the romantic relationship, they can, if you are starting to understand what is going on, and you try to like speak about this, they can turn it around, and when you are trying to leave, or maybe just trying to like defend yourself, they can try to like buy something nice to you, or just put your attention in another direction. If they know you, they know what is kind of the waves that they can kind of lead you, if that's right way to say. So they can sometimes try to buy you stuff, and just then they can also buy you stuff, but then in the next day they can say that, I have done so much for you. I have give all my life for you, and you are just a bad kid, and you don't appreciate anything, and I have put all my time for you. So there is a very much that martyric, sorry if my presentation is not very good, but I try my best to just tell how realistic my experience, like they can just like very much put that guilt in you that they have give everything to you and all their life to you and all their effort to you, and still you are like a bad kid, and you are not never like grateful to anything and stuff like that. Same with the relationship. It can be that some days they can say that you are beautiful or that, and some days you are the reason why they feel that, like you are the reason why they are angry, you are the reason why this relationship bad, and you are always the reason. They don't see any fault in their self, and they don't regret, they don't really deeply regret and stuff like that. So this is one thing that I think when we look at the nervous system, and many of us who have been going through this total nervous system reset, being in that fight or flight state, meaning having anxiety, being constantly on guard, this can be something that can still pop up later in this trauma release stuff too. That like just for me, I don't feel that anymore. That being constantly guard. This was something that I think in this state your parasympathetic nervous system is not mostly active. It's when you have to be constantly aware and on guard. That is a very big stressor, and we know what the long term is causing to the brain is actually making the prefrontal cortex more thinner, and it causes a lot of all kind of changes in the brain, the long-term stress, which this narcissistic abuse can also cause this kind of stress and being on the guard mode. But then we always, like I speak a little bit on caffeine, which was really interesting for some of us. We kind of, without knowing, probably used caffeine as a self-regulating tool, because you get those dopamine hits in the first, because it's really bad drug and it's a stressor itself. But for some weird reason, caffeine can, for some people, it can work that they actually make them feel more calm, which you have to be certain type of neurodivergent to have that. But it doesn't make everyone to feel like it's just, for some people, especially if they have very hyped overstimulated system, it can like calm them. And that way the caffeine can actually work like as an antidepressant, and that can even make the crash for some people even harder or heavier. These are just my something that I have learned. I don't say that this is for everyone, and caffeine is always bad. It's a neurotoxin and stimulant, and the adaptation can be really deep. But just for me, it did definitely like numb my emotions. It did numb a lot of these. Like I was in that constant, stress state of going. So that's not good. That's not normal. That's not healthy. That's not healthy in long term. But that is survival. So it's almost like the same reaction when you drink coffee and take caffeine, that you have a constant trauma. So if you already have a trauma, and then you take something that make you have a constant trauma all the time, also that's like a double trauma, and plus all the other life stressors. But anyway, so what is important in this thing is these feelings are normal reaction to this difficult situation that you have experienced. These are normal feelings. These are not something that are bad, or that you shouldn't feel that, or you shouldn't speak about. If you have experienced some kind of abusive stuff, either that happened years ago, or maybe you are in that now, it's something that you have right to share that, and you have right to express yourself. And also, if you need some kind of therapy, it's always like something that if you need that, then go ahead. For me, I just pray Jesus, and like I have get help from Jesus, but I'm still experiencing. It doesn't mean that in my case nothing did go just away and disappeared, but I have get like that strength that I don't have from Jesus to be able to forgive slowly, if that's right word to say. So this is a victim protective perspective where I'm speaking. I always want to speak in that perspective that is protective, that you are safe, you system is taking care of you, because that's what your nervous system is doing. Your nervous system is always kind of in the boss role, whatever we experience. Either that is a quitting caffeine crash, neurotoxic reaction to the supplements or meds, even that is, or both of that, all of that, like you quit caffeine, maybe you have also some neurotoxic reaction, you started to take supplements that did rebound your symptoms, you did started to go even more bad hell months and months, or you are just going through some kind of very deep trauma that caused you very difficult symptoms, but it's all nervous system related. Whatever it's happening to you, it's nervous system related, and there are these neurotransmitters related. But it depending what kind of symptoms you have, what is your experience. Like some people can just go through this kind of trauma stuff, but they are not necessarily going through the caffeine withdrawals pause and the total nervous system reset and all that. But every case is important. Everybody is different, and just remember that whatever you are going through, these feelings are normal to feel. There are reactions to the situation. Always, whatever happens to us, what comes after comes reaction to that situation, where our nervous system reacts. And sometimes the nervous system can get a really, really bad shock where it's kind of goes in that really bad, really sensitized stage, what happened to some of us. And we had to just, our system has to start from the zero, rewiring the system again to deal the life stressors. What Chris says, are you doing anything to heal from that, or just giving all the trauma time as well? Yeah, I'm not doing any therapies. I'm just doing like I'm reading the word, like the Bible, and just letting these emotions comes out. But of course, I keep my I go to the gym and I eat healthy. I go outside. I go walks. I do these kind of things. But yeah, I don't do any kind of therapy. I just feel that maybe that could be helpful, but I just feel that because of how these waves comes, it's have been kind of processing on its own. But if somebody needs to have anything, it's gonna be very helpful. But I just feel that at least for now, I don't know in the future if I need something, somebody to talk, but at least for now, I have been feeling that these tools that I have kind of because I'm still functional, I can go outside and those things actually works in somewhat that when I feel very emotionally overwhelmed, when I just change a little bit perspective, meaning I go outside or something. When I was in the recovery, nothing didn't work, like meaning that when I was going through still those really, really heavy symptoms with anxiety, it didn't help if I did something because the symptoms were just on and on, if that makes sense. Kaikki valheet, jotka eivät ole totta. Yes. Okay, so then of course, like you have to remember if someone treats you badly in any any situation in your life, it is not your fault. Like, I mean, of course, in this of course, if you do something wrong, yeah, I don't know what you mean, Juhani, in that. Kaikki on pelkkää teatteria selitystä. Yeah. Well, these are really my feelings that I really feel. So, and what I have been experienced. So not everybody, of course, feel the same. So it's not your fault, and you have right to set the boundaries your life. And of course, when I have been doing this work also in YouTube and sharing vulnerably this experience, there have been some people who have been trying to, troll and not always being nice. And that was first really hard for me. But now I just kind of have learned that I have right also to set boundaries here in the social media and everywhere. I can just remove those persons and just keep like this environment safe and nice to everyone. That I want that this will be a nice environment where we all are supporting each other and not just hurting each other. So the boundaries are really important to set, and sometimes it's not possible to get rid of that narcissistic person completely in your life, depending what kind of relationship it is. But taking distance at least can be really helpful, especially if that is a caregiver. And also setting the boundaries, for example, when you speak with that person, how long you speak with that person, and just try to be as neutral as possible. At least that works for me, because as the more emotional you are, that actually can just put water in the bucket. So sometimes the narcissistic person, they love when you are really emotional, like they get something out of that, like they just know. But I think the most, what I have noticed, that when you are just very neutral, it can even happen that they don't even wanna contact with you. They just lose their interest, because even as a parent that can happen. Even that's what your parent, if they notice that they cannot get really anything out from you, what they want, it can just sometimes happen. Okay, so then you don't have to stay in that kind of relationships that hurt you, and you can ask help from a trusted adult. If you are a kid or child, of course, I recommend you ask help from trusted adult, teacher or school counselor. Maybe like I made this presentation for also because some of my followers are a little bit younger. So if you are experiencing this as a kid and you just really see that something is wrong, don't be afraid of speak of that somebody who you can trust. Even one good adult at your life, if that is somebody you can trust, can be really helpful. Even one loving adult, if you have that. So definitely it's good to share and speak. Or a family member. Maybe there is some kind of family member that you can trust, or a friend. So can a narcissistic person change? So for my personal belief is that only Jesus Christ can change that kind of person. But if they don't want, usually they don't want to change. They don't. First of all, many of them, they don't see anything wrong with them. They see wrong with other persons. They see wrong with the therapist. They see wrong with their family members. They see wrong with the coworkers. It can also be that they try to always. They go in different workplaces, then they go to another places, and they always find that work was bad, so they have to change, or that relationship was bad, so they have to change, or whatever. They always want to find like a fault from somewhere else than looking that, hey, I have really done something wrong. I have heard that people, I should really repent and like say I'm really sorry. Sometimes they can say sorry if they see that you are really like begging that, but then they don't necessarily mean that from the heart, because you will know the difference when somebody is really sorry and sad and really like sad what they have done when somebody is not. So in the healthy relationship, you should feel safe. You should feel that you have right to be your goofy self, whatever that means. You both can have deep connection, and just you feel cared and loved, and that's how it should be. So not all narcissism is of course dangerous. It comes from the different levels. Like I said, there are there is a different levels of this, but it's never your victim's responsibility to fix another person. It's not. And it's not even, it's waste of time. I know in some families it can be that if there is a mom and dad, sometimes I know if you have a kids and you are in that together with that person, this is not something that I speak from the experience, because I don't have that kind of experience from that kind of relationship as a romantic relationship, but I just tell you about some acknowledgement that I have learned. So, for example, if you are in that kind of relationship where you have kids with the narcissistic persons, sometimes it's not possible to always leave right away. And sometimes when the kids are like very tiny, another person can be kind of the protector there when the kids are tiny, and they can kind of what is that word, the carry in that sense and help those kids. Even the other person would be the narcissistic, but if they are together, if the other person is normal and the very caring, it can help those kids. But then, of course, if the situation gets more worse and worse, then of course it's always the safety first and the kids' safety first. I would say that's my opinion, that kids' safety comes. But of course it's not always, like I said, it's not always possible. Many things happens, and many times these narcissistic persons can use these kids as a like what is that tool to mikä on kiristää, strict these relationship. They can use these kids to manipulate you, or even take those from you. And this is something in our society that it is really happening. It's really sad. It's really painful. It's really horrible. But anyway, we have to speak about these things. So victims deserve protection, support, and understanding. So you need protection, deserve also. I don't know if you always maybe you just find what is, for me the best protection is that I have my own space, my own place. I can trust the Lord, but I don't want any people. I don't trust people very much, and it's very hard for me this experience to trust anyone. But my dog is there, my own place. This is also where I feel very safe, that I have my own place, and nobody is manipulating me where to go, when to eat, what to do, or even when to wake up. There can be all kind of manipulations, even how you sleep, how you breathe, how you look, how you dress. These all things can be very much manipulated, and it can cause severe stress. It can go, as a kid, it can cause severe stress. First of all, nobody shouldn't comment how you look, or you look wrong, or don't touch your face, or don't do this and that. And there's also healthy way to comment about how kids' appearance is. There's healthy way, healthy loving way, like, oh, you are just like amazing kid, and like I'm so proud of you today. Like, and there's like, you just know, as everybody just know, as how in the parents, how they just love their kids and they want the best for their kids. But unfortunately, in narcissistic person, they don't do that. They have their own manipulated ways when they gonna give compliments, if they gonna give compliments, and they also can take those compliments away and turn them the something bad. So I hope these words will help everyone who is ever going through this. I know it can be really heavy, and especially if you are already like going through this or whatever hardships. Also, but I will say that for me, this part of the recovery, it's not anywhere so hard what it was, all that neurochemical mess. There is no comparison of that, but I still say that it's not always nice either, because when you are in that coma, healing coma, where you just go days and try to survive, and it's a different state, because then you are just thinking about how you go through the days and when the symptoms gonna end. But when those symptoms gonna end and you actually start to feel good and safe, and your parasympathetic nervous system kicks in and your cortisol rhythm finally starts to find its right balance, then it's possible that if you have some of these, then the trauma is coming up because you are safe environment that can happen. If you are not in safe environment, then the trauma cannot really, it doesn't release. It needs to be that safety. Even all the trauma therapists speaks about this safetiness is very much the key. Even if you do some kind of trauma work, which I did do in the recovery, that TRE, that body shaking, that my body was just shaking, and I did that some of years, but now my body just sometimes shakes itself. I don't start that, or I don't start to do anything, and my body just sometimes shakes itself. And if that happens, I let that happen. But I don't feel that I don't have to do any kind of things. But even if you would do the many trauma therapists says that it's really a long process for many, even recovering from the deep trauma. It's a years of process, even itself, that for many. So, but I personally believe that if you are using some kind of mind-altering drugs or some kind of mind-altering supplements or whatever meds, that can really affect your brain and your system, how it can able to process things. But I only speak of by what I have experienced and the things that I have seen, or some other experiencing as well. So asking help is an act of courage. It's not act of weakness. So I also have a Discord group, and I really hope that whenever you are struggling, ask help. Also there you are right to ask, even not with this, but when you are just going through those symptoms. So you are always welcome there and ask help. And next month, like I said, I don't know if I said it in this live, but I will start to do those support chats again once in a week. So for all the caffeine quitters, they're welcome. And of course, if somebody is just want to come to talk there, and they are not people talking about caffeine symptoms, you are always welcome to just talk if you need any kind of support. So I don't know, my hair is a little bit weird. So yeah, so I don't know, did this kind of presentation to be helpful for you, but this is kind of like, I wanted to make this because I'm experiencing these heavy feelings at this moment, but it's not that heavy that I still wanna go outside. I have been outside today and resting. What I find maybe is a little bit difficult to concentrate when this kind of moments comes. It almost feels like my brain is a little bit all over the place. like I can want to do one thing and then another thing. This is one thing that I also wanted to speak about, as some of us maybe have this some kind of neurodivergent brain as a naturally, because I didn't even know what my natural rewiring as a genetics are, because I was so long in caffeinated. But I think I do experience that some of what now, and I think that maybe I have naturally have this some kind of traits of maybe autism, I don't know, but it just feels like pretty cool in that sense that I think this feels natural and it shouldn't be medicated, meaning that how would I experience, like sometimes my brain wants to do many things at the same time, meaning multitasking, but I still can, if I put my mind something, I can concentrate that. But I think that also still a little bit that adapting after this anxiety coma, that my mind wants to do this all the stuff, and my body is trying to keep it up. There is so much to learn, so much to look, so much to go. Even with the Bible, I was just like trying to learn it so much, but then almost get a little bit overwhelmed. Like then I was trying to be gentle myself that I can read that what I can read, and I don't have to force myself to do this. That's not something that it's like the what comes to faith. I feel that the faith is the gift, like Jesus died from the cross and have died because of all of our sins, and whoever ever wants to believe in Jesus and repent and we can, he have really like carry our sins in the cross, and that's what I believe. And the faith was for, it was a gift for me, but it's not a burden. Like it's not something that I can do because deserve that saving, because Jesus have already made everything from the cross. I don't know how to explain it more better, but I hopefully you know what I mean. So in that sense, also like I try to be gentle to myself, because I can see that there is so much in that old pattern rewiring, which I used to was like that I have to do these things to deserve to be loved. You don't have to do things to deserve to exist. And that's one of the things that narcissism can make you do. Some people can, this can be, actually there can be two kind of rewiring after narcissism. Other people can be very overdoers, like they just like do all their life. They go to the very many works, and they just work like hard, and they just never feel like it's enough. And that was like I was like that person. I was always like doing, working, this and that. Then there are other kind of person after this kind of narcissistic abuse, that they feel that they are never enough. They feel like, why to even try, because I'm not good anyway. Like, why to even try so hard? So they can end up just be like ignoring themselves a little bit. They can work, but they can end up just ignoring themselves and be like, why to even try? Because I'm gonna always be like this. I'm never enough to nobody can love me. So that also depends on the person. So some people, their nervous system is like very high alert and just, you know, do. And some people can be more like in that, you know, freeze and just like very down. But it's all, if we can look up these things as a neuroscience perspective, which I actually like, and that's also helpful for me. I don't know if that's helpful for anyone else. Probably not, because I'm just a little bit too interested about this neuroscience. I have to say, I have become, and thank God for that. That I can be interested that now, because my brain actually some days it actually works well. I have to say, some days I still have this a little bit all over the place. Thinking that I just watch 2 videos at the time, and I read two books at a time, and my brain is like, we have this information. But in that perspective, it's all adaptation. And in that perspective, as a neuroscience, our brain are plastic. Even as an adult, we are able to heal. And the neuroplasticity is pretty amazing if you think about that how God created us. That's what I sometimes think about, how God created us like this. It's always fascinating me every single day. Even I see people from really bad place. I now look it's in very different way than when I looked before. I was very, maybe sad about that, and just very, very like overwhelmed. But now I actually, this is what God's designed to us, and sometimes I just give it to God, because to Jesus, because we all have to go through things in our life, and that's just how life is. We all go through things. Some more in the beginning, some more in the end. But we are created by God, and I think that we in this body as a temple of Holy Spirit, like I believe, like we should be happy about this body, like which we have, and whatever you believe, like I don't wanna here ever be like I'm pushing something to you, but I just wanna honestly tell about my perspective, because that helps, and just know, whoever you are always welcome to my channel. I hope that this information that I share will help you on your journey, and put always comments how you feel about these lives. And if you like that I do more English content, put thumbs up. And now, if you have any questions about this topic, or overall about your experience, how it feels for your journey when you have these emotions coming out, either if that's from the narcissism trauma or some other hard things that you may have experienced on your life, you can always share. My dog is it's just so relaxed now, and that's also good that my dog is finally starting to a little bit get used to city life. Even she's still barking to other dogs, and scared to cars, but she is adapting. And I have now more understanding about dogs' nervous system too after this, what I went through. So overall, this journey have been quite some experience, and a lot of learning for me. A lot of learning also, that I can show my feelings. Even here on live, I can cry if I feel to cry. And before, I was just, not comfortable to even do that, because I was all over the place with those heavy symptoms, with anxiety, come and go. Like I said, it was come and go, but that's not what I experience now. It's just like the emotional memories, about the certain things, and the person. And yeah, I think the holidays also can be the time when certain memories comes up, because sometimes we have certain bond with certain memories, like meaning that maybe your Christmas, you were spending that with your family, there was some good things in that, or maybe you remember something. And then sometimes if you are alone and stuff, these things can really hit you as a healing. Like they can remind you that, oh, like, yeah, I was spending my Christmas with my family and stuff, and now I'm just here alone. So all things can affect when these traumas are ready to come up. And I just also want to say that don't ever think about that you should be somewhere on your process where you are not. Like I said, each on their own process are where they need to be. Like the healing is not linear. the timeline is not same for everyone, but for some people the timeline is longer. It's years, and that is also important to understand for these people who have this total nervous system reset, like me and some of you who are watching this, that you have this longer timeline, and then those people who are just not having that, of course they are wondering, and of course our loved ones, they don't understand what happened to us. They cannot understand. If you don't experience, you cannot understand. But even if you don't experience something that other person experienced, I think we can always be, we can try to listen, and we can try to learn. Like I don't know what some other people have experienced, but I'm just even with, I watch videos even from the dissociated, what is that, DID, dissociated, it was before diagnosed like multiple personalities. It's like a dissociative disorder, dissociative identity disorder. I think those, even I don't have that. I cannot know what is that, but I'm very interested and empathic to learn about all kind of those things, and I was very interested about watch all those kind of videos during my recovery, because it kind of gave me hope to see all kind of people in different kind of situations. Even it's horrible. Even that's that DID. It comes from the childhood, very very bad deep trauma. It's not itself that you're well, you can check out what it is, but basically it's like your personality can split into different parts, and then there can be some parts that are carrying those trauma memories. And then you can have even different alters in your body, and their alters can have their different personalities and different different like personalities and how they speak and dress and all. And that's really how the human body is able to adapt even to the deep trauma. Even it's very sad, it's horrible, and that is not fun thing to have anyone if they have that. But that is how the human body is able to survive. And like, there is all kind of these diagnoses about the CPTSD, PDD, about all kind of these trauma diagnoses. And of course the spectrum of the autism, there are just multiple ADD, ADHD. I don't even know how much there are all kind of these disorders, which I don't like the word because I more like the adaptation, but what I do think about that many medications and the drugs, they are actually like not helping the healing. They are describing the benzos and psych meds so easily. Even if the person would go through divorce, they go to the doctor, and doctor will give them the meds, and they can have med injury, or they can have benzo adaptation, and they can have like years of withdrawals or pause after that, just because they were maybe going through some natural thing. The depression is also adaptation. It's depressed. Depressed. So I just think our societies, and I don't say this any in that judgmental way, but I just say how I see it. It's just like those meds are, and maybe some people say that, yeah, my meds are working. I don't say that never that meds are not working. Meds are working for some people, but the meds are not curing. At least for many people, they are not curing what was the reason why they would have something. And in this journey, why I speak about so much meds and supplements, why they can do so much harm, because it's when your nervous system is really sensitized, and you cannot even deal with the sounds and even smells and something. It's just not like your system and those neurotransmitters, those receptors that are trying to heal. If you try to take something psychoactive, as a supplement can be also psychoactive, or whatever meds, they can affect in those same receptors that are trying to heal. So that's why they can rebound some people journey so heavily. So that's why it's just good to good to know about these things when you are recovering, so you don't have to do those mistakes that unfortunately some people have to go through. So I think I pretty much have said everything that I wanted. I will just try to relax now and, watch maybe some movie and then go out to the walk. These are my, and of course, pray, but these are just my things that I help myself now to regulate. And please share a comment if you have anything, and you can always put things in the chat. I also want to say that all those symptoms that you are having, they will ease with time. Your brain will go back to that normal phase where you are able to actually plan things, and you want things. You will be motivated. You wanna do things, and that can be very different than when you were in that caffeinated state, because now your nervous system is differently rewired. I also will say before I go that you don't necessarily tolerate same stuff that you did tolerate when you were on the drug, meaning that you have now the different settings. People may used to see you that you were the person that, yeah, I can just, that person is just kind. You can say anything to that because she's a people pleaser, and that doesn't work anymore with those new settings, because the system is not the same. So even some people say that, Anni, you are not the person that I knew you before. You are not the person that you used to were. Yeah, I am. I just have a different adaptation going on. And that does mean that I'm not dealing the any kind of bullying anymore, because my system doesn't naturally just deal it doesn't deal with that the same way. It wants to get these things right way, and not just like hiding and pretending that didn't happen, or numbing. So I hope this makes some of what sense. And yeah, keep up the good work. You got this. And please always comment something, because I will love to have feedback. Are these videos helpful? All right. I miss many of your guys, and I always wondering how are you doing. So please let me